I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, Vagrant Queen fans, and welcome to the after show. We're going to dive into episode 6, Requiem for Republic. We have a special guest in the house. Welcome back, Isaac, Tim Rozon. Yay!
Woo! Hey, thanks so much for having me back, guys.
Oh, we're excited to have you back and talk about this episode, this man. Poor Isaac. But before we get into that, my name is Carrie Lane. I'm joined by my awesome co-host,
James Maple. That's me. What's up, guys? How are you?
Yay! And we do have a live chat going. So if you're watching this live, please join us in the chat and we'll throw your questions over to Tim. And if you're watching it later, no problem at all. Please comment down below. All right. Overall thoughts, James, what did you think of this episode?
Okay, so this episode I think was great. It started off, I'll be very honest, it started off a little slow for me. I was initially like, come on, let's go. But it definitely fills in a lot of gaps. The Starzad didn't know how powerful that was in the extent of like how the power is used. So that was a really cool revelation. And of course, the man here himself, we learned a lot about Isaac. And I think I saw Isaac cry for maybe the first time this season. I don't know. But I thought that was pretty cool. It was cool to see that like human side of Isaac and really get a sense of like how he felt about his family back home, and you know the meanness coming from Aleta too was pretty jarring. So I thought that was pretty cool from this episode.
Meanness, we'll discuss on that.
Yes.
But good point. Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was a much darker episode. I liked it. Almost had a horror aspect to it, like the gore, the creatures and being followed and everything. So I really dug it. It's a good episode 6. Tim, how was this episode for you? This one, Isaac's had a like kind of 180 from a little more, playful at the beginning, and now he's in this. He's in the corner. His baby's been put in the corner.
Well, for me, 5 and 6 were kind of they were one episode. They were like a little mini movie in the middle of Vagrant Queen. It very much needed part. It took a different turn than kind of where it had gone because the show started with kind of Isaac in hot water with Aleta, and then she forgave him. Don't forget he did shoot her, and they had their whole past. And then as an audience, we forgive the guy and we say, okay, maybe the guy's not that bad. They're a team. They're a trio. Here comes the team. Here comes a trio. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, this guy just backstabs her again. So is this what this guy is? Is he a backstabber? But for me, it was like we filmed all that stuff on that in the location out in the desert, which was super cool in those dunes. So it was really I was hard out there for a lot of people. I loved it. It was one of my favorite locations. But things got hectic out there, that's for sure. But for me, 5 and 6, you need them both because you get that backstory for Isaac, and I understand why he did what he did. Because I'm a dad now. So it's crazy. Yeah, if I got sucked in through a vortex and ended up in another galaxy and I wanted to come back to my family, I'm going to do whatever I can to get back to my family. I get it, as an audience, we're going to be mad at the guy because we're rooting for this trio that we want to keep fighting, but he's a human being. He's the only human being on the show, and it's his family. So yeah, he's gonna do whatever he would, and I think most people would, but we forget that when we're watching a show and we get angry at him, and rightfully so, because he did backstab Aleta, who's been nothing but there for him over and over again. So yeah, I don't know if she was per se mean as she was real and harsh with the guy. She had to be harsh, and I unfortunately think she meant what she said, and I think that's why you saw Isaac cry for the first time. And I think now we see a transition of him finding maybe a new family. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not saying he's ready to give up on his family back home. Who would be? But you could see how much it hurt him to know, okay, before I screwed up and I can make a joke about it. And he kind of made a joke about it, even when he said, you made me shoot you. He knew he didn't cross the line. Now he knows, and I think it upset him more than he thought it would. So I'm excited to see what happens and where we go. Yeah.
I would say slight devil's advocate for him, though. He did have good intentions, but Isaac is not always the most well thought out on planning. So he's like, sure, this will go fine. He doesn't think, oh, sure, we can trust Lazarus. So, and we'll get to it. But he's the first person to finally be like, hey, maybe we should keep the whole of the ship closed. Whew, we'll talk because that was on previous episode. I'm glad that came up again. So at the beginning of the episode, also we kind of get interesting timing today for talking about it because it is Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day.
Mhm.
So Aleta is saying goodbye to her mother essentially by putting the necklace into the sand, which is sad. But I think it's good for her that she got a closure of like, okay, this is it. So you're not sitting around waiting, because that was rough. But seeing her be rocky with her friends, that was really hard. Even with Ame, she was a bit like, not right now. You're like, okay, like, girl, you just need a hug. And then James, what do you think when we get these new bug people things?
I was so excited. That's been one of my like biggest loves of this show is or the creativity when it comes to like creating other planets, other inhabitants of said planets. So I thought it was cool. I know we talked about this a couple episodes back, how we felt like there may have been some like reusing of things and like some of the alien inhabitants look similar, but I definitely got the sense that they really like tried something completely different. This was a new take on anything we've seen in the past, and I dug the whole like I love the we talked about this last episode, Tim, the Tremors reference, like the little worm things that kind of popped in this episode very quickly. But the bug people are far more, I think they're called scarabins, are far more uh I guess they're far more civilized than I initially thought. So that was pretty cool. That was one of the first like few creatures that we've seen that has like a civilized kind of like jail cell. And I thought that was pretty cool as well.
I thought that was very interesting. They had a jail cell. I'm like, wait, what? But
Yeah.
they were definitely cool. And then Tim, I liked your moment with them when we see. I thought they were more like wasps. And then Isaac smacks one. And he's like, mosquitoes. I lived out on the plains. I know what to do with you.
Yeah, prairies. He's from
Prairies.
the
There we
Peg.
go.
Very
Yeah.
important. Well, Western Canada takes their prairies very, very seriously, guys.
And then we get ELISA and Isaac have their fight, which is like, rough to watch. And yeah, when she says that brutal line that your wife and child are better off without you, she went cold on that one. But yeah, James, what do you think? Were you worried about our trio at this moment?
Yeah, I think that was the moment for me in the episode that I really felt that things were starting to unravel. I never really thought about this, Tim, until you mentioned a moment ago that these two episodes, 5 and 6, almost like a mini movie. I really felt like that. It was a sad moment because we over the past in the beginning of this episode, the past 5 episodes, we had seen this new family build and these in the conflicts that they confronted and like how they overcame the conflicts and how they really started to become their own nuclear family. So this was the first level of like I think real contention where it was like, oh crap, like things may not continue the way that we thought they were. I think given the whole being on Wix made me think that as well because we got to Wix and like unfortunately things weren't the way we thought they were when we got to that planet. So I thought it was a cool take, but I definitely was a little concerned about the fam bam. I was like, it's going down. Like she said some like hurtful jabbing words. I was like, damn, Lita, I know you had it in you.
And then it is just acting, but Tim, how is it for you when you're in those kind of scenes where you now have built up this relationship as a character and then as a fellow actor, and then to have your friend and fellow character be like saying hurtful things?
Yeah, luckily I'm pretty well practiced at that from playing Doc Holliday on Winona Earp, acting with Melanie Scrofano, and Doc Holliday seems to get himself in just as many predicaments as Isaac in that sense. I feel like I'm asking for forgiveness a lot in these characters that I play. I'm always seem to be in a little bit of trouble. Adrian's a great actress, so I love those scenes. Dramas. I'm more comfortable doing drama than comedy, to be honest. Oddly enough, a comedy's hard. It's really hard. Those beats and finding those comedic timings and to be funny without trying to be funny is really key. Whereas drama, guys, we all got pain. You can all
That's
go to
true.
it when you want to. You know where it is. I know where mine is. I can get it. But in a moment like that, I was just those scripts are so good, and I was so in the stories. Like between us, I had gotten those scripts before we even started. I had read all 10 because they were
Oh.
ready. Yeah, I read all of them except maybe the finale. Yeah, I didn't read the finale. Maybe not even 9, but I definitely read the first 8. 8 did change, which
Mm.
is it's just fun. 8's the one to look out for. But I did. I read them all, and I wrote Adrian before we started filming, and I said, "I'm so sorry." And she's like, "Sorry for what? What's the problem?" And I'm like, "I'm so sorry for what is gonna happen midway through
Oh
the I
no.
apologize if you haven't gotten there yet." And she hadn't. She was on like episode 3. Because I like skimmed through everything. Everyone else, these girls are awesome, man. They've got highlighters and you know. So yeah, so I was apologizing way in advance. Um, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's the character or you as the person, but it is hard to be mad at Isaac.
Mhm.
Like even though he's trying, it's just like there's people and there's characters where you're just like, I don't care and like forget it, they're awful. But it's like you're just, oh, he's trying.
I don't think the man doesn't have a vindictive bone in his body. That's for sure.
Yeah,
It's not a place of maliciousness. He's not the brightest guy. He just doesn't. He's not a leader. He's not the hero, guys. He's just
yeah,
not. He's not.
Mhm.
yeah. Then when we have Ame and Winnie are left to stay on the ship because Alita and Isaac are going out their own ways to go get all the materials they need back for this ship. I James, what do you think of Winniebot's empathetic listening mode?
I'm so glad you mentioned that because, ironically enough, I wrote down the exact same quote. So that moment stood out to me as well. It was cool. We talked about this previously, but I think maybe even it was you, Tim, who mentioned this to us to look out for Winniebot, how this new robot may be part of the crew. So
Mhm.
it's ironic that you came back on this episode because I felt like this episode really personified this robot. It like gave that one little scene, I know is kind of a tongue in cheek thing, but it really did give Winniebot this like human quality where I was like, oh goddamn, Winniebot is like she always says the answers to
Mhm.
any of these planets inhabitants and how to combat them. It happened this episode, and I believe it happened episode previously as well. Um, it's so cool to see like this hunk of wires and bolts evolve into this character that you like start to empathize with, and you're like, oh wow, this like little robot has emotions and she's having a moment. All those little moments we see between Ame and Alita and you and Alita, it was cool to see one of those moments happen between a robot and one of the trio, and that being Ame. I thought that was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah. Plus,
I
Isaac even hugs
he does.
Winniebot at one point. Yeah, he's just like he can't get love from anywhere, man. Like, you know what? Winniebot doesn't judge.
Now, Tim, what's it like for you? You read the script, but like these aren't scenes you're in, and to see them when they're all done, to see Winniebot in action and other effects in general too.
Incredible, incredible. It's so funny you just said that too, because I was thinking about that in May Winniebot scene, just watching it. I messaged Alex after and I said, "You're just so good, man. May is just,
Mhm.
gosh, you're so good." And look at May, even with all that stuff, and she's there when the two of them fight, and I love that May is there when they have that moment, and she's because I think for me it makes the whole moment so much more powerful because she's there, not judging, just
Hmm.
taking it in, and she feels for both of them, which is just a testament to a May,
Mhm.
because she understands everything but doesn't say a word in that moment either, and just lets that moment play. uh yeah, I love watching the show after. I've loved this. I've got a kick from watching this one from day one, just because I couldn't wait to see all this stuff. I couldn't wait to
Oh,
see
for
all
sure.
of
I
it.
can't. I think that'd be such an incredible experience if you've read it and you know like where it's coming from, and then to see it all
Yeah.
done.
And this
Mhm.
was my first time doing the prosthetics. You didn't see it so much in the episode, but I
Yeah,
was
the
like full
thing.
fly. Yeah, so it took
Mm.
about 5 hours. So that was my 3:30 in the morning call time.
Whew.
Because the girl always had to go in an hour before me, just for the ears,
Mm.
Because like again, I'm the only human. So I mean, it's as the episodes go, you notice I got more and more scratches, and
Yeah.
those scratches just aren't red paint. Like they literally got to stick those on, and it takes time. But yeah, the girls got the ears, and so this was my first time in like the full on. I had to I had to go to a different makeup trailer.
Speaking of scratches, I saw on your social media from last week. I want to say it's 2 episodes ago. Did you actually fall and real blood, or is that all that fake?
No, that was all fake. Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
like,
all
wait
fake.
a minute, I got a little worried.
No, that was all fake. The only injury I did have was cutting my finger off in episode 8. But when you'll get to it, you'll see it, and just know that I really did cut my finger, and there's a big chunk of it that was missing. It was awesome. Yeah.
Ow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look out for 8, guys. 8.
All right.
That's
We
where all the
will.
action happens, apparently. It's
Right?
episode
Yeah.
8.
Okay. Well, speaking of action, we have Alita's going out about one, she gets stung, she gets passed out, hallucinations, and then she's about to go off the cliff, but yay, Isaac saves her. But then they get attacked by the bugs. James, what do you think of this kind of sequence of events?
Love it. Like you think that we're getting there. The team's gonna make it back to the ship. Of course, there's a mishap along the way. I thought this was cool. Whatever Alita got stung by, I'd like some of that on Friday night because that looked like a great trip. I want to say. The Hangover looks pretty brutal, but
I was gonna
nonetheless.
say, I'm like,
But it was cool too. I love the flashbacks of, well, not, I guess they weren't flashbacks, more like hallucinations of that scene. We saw Alita think that Isaac was one of the Scarabines, half being dying
Yeah.
in front of her again. So that was an interesting thing to see like the psyche of Alita in that moment, and then to see that like paternal side of Isaac as he's like, I know you're tripping balls right now. I know you're going through it, but like I got you. One little, I guess it was a comparison that I noticed. Have you guys seen the movie Moon or Sunshine? Moon by Sam Rockwell or Sunshine? I was picking up those vibes because those movies are very like space driven movies, but they have like a psychological kind of tinge to them. So as that was happening, I remember I think it was in Moon. I can't remember specifically, but regardless, there were scenes where the main character has these like realizations about life, and it's dabbled in like hallucination. And I just was picking up those kind of vibes as I was watching that one scene in particular, because we were really getting some insight into like the inner workings of Alita's mind.
I want to know, Tim, do you know for that? I don't know if you all had talked more on set. It does seem like it's kind of releasing your inner fears, because James saying, I'm like, I don't know if that'd be a good trip, but maybe it just depends where you are mentally at the time that you get the drug. Is that something that was discussed at all, Tim, of like, or anybody go, hey, wait, what does it actually do?
Listen, I'm not gonna speak on people's I know what Alita's gone through. Let me say that. From age 17, I think I got stung by that same bee, maybe voluntarily a couple of times. But I don't think I don't think Adrian has tripped in balls in real life. So I do know she was. I do know she was like the director, and they were talking about which way to go with it. You don't want to be too much, but and don't forget that's testament to her acting, because when we watch it on TV, yeah, you see Hath and you see Lazarus dressed as Isaac, but that's not how it was on the day. This was her lying in the sand with nobody above her except just a giant cameraman, and the director saying, Hath is in front of you, telling you, react, but don't be too, don't be, so yeah, she just killed it.
I can confirm that you are right in that, Tim. I saw an interview with Adrian last week. She did like an IG live, and she said, I think one of the questions pitched to her was like, what's your favorite drink or something like that? And she doesn't drink or smoke. Didn't know that about her. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, then that's what the acting's for in the script too, to
exactly.
I was like, yeah, that does not necessarily look like fun to me, but I do think it's probably definitely affected by what state that person is and mentally at that time. So poor Alita is going through so much, and that just kind of brings it all to the surface, which we do see later with her mom, which we'll get to that too. Okay, So, Tim, why does Isaac not use the flashlight when he's getting attacked by the bugs? I'm going to give him slight benefit of the doubt and think he forgot that he had it on him.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like in episode 4 when he doesn't bring the whistle
Exactly.
that he should have. This is like just Isaac's MO. But in defense of this, who would think that the flashlight is gonna, you know what I mean? Like when I see a spider in the middle of the night, I'm not like, where's my flashlight?
Right.
So but when the flashlight fell and then he realized that, oh wow, these bugs hate the light. I love that he had that moment of there will be light, and he was kind of like,
Yes.
Mhm.
get out of here. That was cool. Yeah.
Maybe that should be a Winniebots programming is when she is giving assistance, she needs to explain why. Because, yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, cool, a flashlight. But be like, by the way, it is
Yeah.
essentially a weapon.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Um,
he normally has a Leta, so you don't need a flashlight when you've got a Leta, because I felt like she could
yeah,
kill bugs real quick.
yes. Uh, but yeah, man, I did really love the lighting on that scene too, like the flashlights like coming out of his face and holding how it lit. How was that scene to shoot of essentially a little more over dramatic, but in a fun way for you, Tim?
Super cool. I mean, all the sets in South Africa are amazing. That one was at
Mhm.
the Cape Town Film Studios. So a lot of history there. A lot of shows have been filmed there. It was really awesome. I mean, there's giant pirate ships in the parking lot that are still
Ooh.
there from old shows. Black Sails, like those pirate ships are in the parking lot where you set up base camp. And so this scene, we were actually stuck in this dark little corner. It was real dark. You're right. It was different than every other place we had been, and it was just Adrian and I in this dark little room, and you couldn't even fit too much crew. So
Mm,
it was just just us and the camera guy, and he wore it on like this. It's not a steady cam. Yeah, it is a steady cam. So it's this different camera that the cameraman wears it, and he can
Mhm.
control it, and only certain people can actually like master this thing. It's a
yeah.
next level kind of camera thing. So it was us in this weird kind of camera. It was real low. The whole thing felt weird. It was awesome.
Well, it turned out awesome. I think
Yeah,
this episode definitely had a nice stylistic uh, theme throughout.
yeah.
We get Alita's gonna be fine. It's just a really bad trip. But man, her moment with her mom. James, what do you think
Ooh.
of that? Like, because also her mom at the end says you're free. So again, speaking to the inner workings of Alita's mind, is she free from her mother now?
I don't know. I go through these like sine waves with Zevelin. Like some episodes I think she's great and like a maternal figure and like it's Alita's mother, and then other episodes I'm like, is she evil? Like I can't quite like put my finger on like what it is about her that she's non-conformist in that sense. I thought that scene was dark. I thought that scene like at first I didn't understand what the thing flying across the screen was. I'm like, is this a comet? Is this a bullet? Is what's happening with this? Um, I thought that it was a pretty gruesome scene too. To be such a dramatic scene for that build up, I felt like the first 80% of it was like drama, build, 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 and then got kind of gory towards the end. In terms of Alita being free, I guess that's really up to her. I want to say her mother is definitely has some influence on her decisions. I believe, like because of her matriculation, her growing up, and being taught from her in half. But I want to believe that Alita will make that decision of freedom for herself, given her whole new circle of friends or family, whatever we're creating moving forward. I believe it will be of her own will. But I definitely think that Zeppelin, obviously, given this scene in particular, has little like milestones in her mind where it's like, okay, I'm still here. I'm still here. So
Hmm, I like your thinking.
thank you.
Uh, we have Ame where she's left alone, but she does call her brother and lets him know what's going on, needs to get going. And I really did like how he, asked like, why are you essentially helping these people? And it's
Mhm.
essentially her loss makes it that she doesn't want anyone else to have to go through that loss too. So it makes her a much more empathetic individual, which is like, oh, like she's a sweetheart,
Yeah.
which we all know. What did you think of, James, when there's that moment? There's a critter on the ship. I was like, oh, the hatch doors are open again.
Just that. That was my thought. Like, what knowledge, as intelligent and as like smart and handy as Ame is, I'm like, girl, basics. Close the damn door. What's wrong with you? I thought it was funny. Always a comical scene. I love how Winniebot came and saved the day yet again with
Yes.
her new talent, I guess she has. And I love the fact that it was just so comical that the voltage was such a low voltage that it had to keep happening to keep this scared by and subdued. I thought that
Yes.
was funny. Love the scene. And I love Isaac coming in and be like, girl, how many times I gotta tell you? Close the damn door. You letting bugs in. What's good?
Yes. Thank you. Because Tim, I was so happy when Isaac finally said it, because when a previous episode we pointed out like that's how something got on the ship, and so finally I'm like, yay, a character said it.
Spoiler alert, we don't learn.
Figure, yeah. Well, all things considered, I guess Alita. Well, who's the last one out? It's one of those like, is it maybe the last person out has to shut up? But even Ame be like, come on, girl. But all right, good to know. But I like this moment, and I'm wondering, for you, Tim, did you think about this? I like that Ame is no killer, and so she can't even kill this thing on her ship that was about to kill her, and Isaac shoots it for her. Was that something that occurred to you, Tim, or was that part of it as well, of like Isaac not wanting Ame to kill, even if it is a attacker?
I think it's just that's the human in him, bugs. He's like, ugh, bugs, yeah. And he's kind of like, yeah, he talks tough sometimes, but I think if he's like, oh, the mosquitoes, I'm not scared, but no, he is, and he's just like, oh, bug, it's like a reflex,
Nice.
Don't forget there was the other the scene before where Leta says, "Give me your gun." Like she literally like straight up says, "Give me your gun." And he's like, "Why?" And it's like, "Because you can't shoot, buddy. I can get this done." And he's like, "Yeah, but I shot like those things." And she were like, "They were bugs." So I think like Isaac can take care of bugs. So he can take care of the moments he knows he could take care of.
Oh, so I guess this is the hierarchy. Please leave a comment down below your thoughts on this. We have the hierarchy of fighting. We got Leta, who will do probably the most damage. Isaac, who can take care of bugs, as you said. And then we have Ame, who will talk her way out of a situation, which we've seen on a previous episode.
Well, we've seen her kick some butt too, though.
True.
I mean,
yes.
She did use that board against that one poor guy's. Like she feels bad about having to whack people out, but she could take care of business.
Yeah, I think we talked to Danishka a couple episodes ago, and one of her favorite scenes was where Ame put that security guard's head in the scene. She can kick some butt.
Yeah.
Well, we do know she has a way with words, so she does have a way of getting out of situations and avoiding the problem in the first place. If you can talk to whatever it is that's attacking. Doesn't work with bugs so well. All right, and so I also, the other nice one of the other last moments we get with Ame and Isaac, when they're talking about rain and falling asleep to something, and Aleta falling asleep to the ship rumble. And yeah, that's that moment you were saying, Tim, of Isaac is possibly okay with not going home.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing for episode 6. I mean, I think it took this realization for him to realize that he might never get home again. And if he doesn't, this might be his new family, and he realizes how much it means to him. And I don't think he wants to lose it now. So I think in that conversation, that's what it was. He's reminiscing of, he had that same feeling of security or warmth or whatever it was, or longing or love. He found it again, and he found it within his relationship with Aleta. And I think unfortunately episode 5 had to happen for us to get to where we're going to get to. It's just, and I don't think she should. I don't think Aleta's gonna forgive as quickly as, or you know what I mean? And she has every right not to. There's a lot going on in Aleta's world. So I think she wants some Aleta time.
Yeah. Ame points that out too. I like the moment where she says, "Okay, take time and patience," and then Isaac doesn't, and she's like, "What did you not understand about it takes time?"
Yeah.
We do have in the live chat, Adam Rodriguez says, "You forgot about the robot can fight as well." Good point. Winniebot should also be on that hierarchy, that she can do some damage as well.
Oh yeah.
Good point. Yeah. We also so the last moment we have with our trio is we have Ame, Aleta, and Isaac are on the planet Grillo, and they are kind of, your posture was so adorably sad. Like he's sitting on the side, like little sad puppy dog.
Well, he feels bad.
Yeah. And then they're kind of like, well, what do we do? I was a little bit worried that Alita's like, I'm done with all of you. Even Ame, like shutting that down and wanting to be by herself. Like, but no. James, what do you think of that scene?
Sad scene, of course. I'm glad you pointed out Isaac, Tim, sitting and like I can see the scene in my head. I'm sitting in like at the bar in the corner by himself, like sipping on his meat martini. I thought that was like a sad scene. I thought, to be honest with you, I really thought that at the end where Ame and Alita are sitting at that table, and I forget what Alita says, but she like kind of finalizes thing. I thought she was gonna give Ame a kiss in that moment and be like, "Here's a goodbye kiss," and move on. But it didn't happen. So I was like a little like about that. But overall, I mean, it was a sad moment because you like I said earlier, I really thought that like the team was. The strands were falling off this fabric from the team. Like what she said to Isaac earlier in the episode, and then this, I just really thought that, this trio that we've come to love in these past 6 episodes might not be the trio moving forward. But then again, at the end where we go to see the ship, we have now a new solidifying goal, I guess, or something that connects us all. I love the moment too before that happened where we keep talking about the humanity of Isaac. I love the moment that happened before then, and Ame's like, "No, I'll pay you, I'll buy you guys out of the ship," and Isaac's like, "No, like the ship is only worth half the amount of what you're pitching to me," and he's like, "Look, this is the new Isaac. I can be real. I can be honest." So I can appreciate that, which makes me think that there is a glimmer of hope left for Isaac and Alita to rekindle something, because we're starting to see a new family man Isaac, a new nurturing Isaac. So I'm hoping that Alita will see through his past BS and look at the new man before her.
James, you got to start writing episodes, man. I love that you guys notice all this stuff, man. I got to tell you, it makes me so happy. The other thing that I love is, I was sitting there in the like sad sulking, and the funny thing is, like, this planet we're on now is the happy planet. It's like the happy planet. That's like the people here are like, they're just on happy steroids all the time. Like, we're heading into the Sunshine Express. Like, this is the next episode 7. It's just, we're on a happy planet, but we're not going in as a happy group. So it should be interesting.
All right,
Yeah.
good to know
Plus,
for that.
we did see the group. Alita kind of said the group's breaking up. Like, I'm leaving. The band's breaking up, guys. Like, I'm out. But then we end where, okay, well, now we're all stuck together, but you just break up with us. So it's gonna be awkward.
It's like, oh shit.
Exactly.
But yeah, so our trio is left there. So the other, any other thoughts on the trio before we get to our next big character of this episode, James?
No. Again, I love this evolution. Like I said a moment ago, I did think that things were going to be over with the whole ship missing. I'm happy to know that there is something holding these trio together, even if it's begrudging. They all are still kind of connected to each other. I never really thought about the setting that you mentioned a moment ago, Tim, and that, like, I think isn't this the planet that Chaz mentioned to Ame?
It's a tourist planet.
Yeah. So I never really thought about that cool kind of contrast between it being like a touristy, lively, all different types of aliens. I was gonna say races, but aliens, people, non-people, commingling together. I thought that was cool. So who knows what's gonna happen with the next episode? So I am excited. Never really thought about that, Tim.
So the other major character that's going on in this time was Lazaro. So don't worry,
Mhm.
y'all. We did not forget about that. Yeah, learning that the mind control is absolute was so brutal. That first scene where he's making the doctor dig out his insides and not make noise. I was like, whoa. Like, I mean, we knew Lazaro was not a good dude, but damn, this is when you go, he will do anything. And wow. Tim, what do you think of that? Of like, your characters dealt with him, and then you as a person, when you're watching this, getting to see what Lazarus is capable of, or at
Yeah,
least
episode 6, all of Lazaro's stuff was insane. I was like,
Mhm.
what show is this? Because I was like, except when Paul and I had our stuff together, where he beat the crap out of me. We spent a day together. Other than that, those other scenes, Lazaro he's doing stuff with the Admiralty and Reichel and all those people. So I don't see what they're doing. You know what I mean? When they're filming their stuff, we're not around, so I have no idea what they're up to. When I saw The Last Supper and just the
Mhm.
insanity, the brutality, the blood, the gut stuff, I was like, whoa, this is nuts. Yeah, it blew my mind. It was really awesome. It was like, I was like, you go from like these heartfelt, look, quiet, tender moments to then just the Lazaro brutality, and he has so much fun in his evilness.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's what's creepy. He's a really good character. Paul plays him amazing because when he's on screen, I can't look anywhere else. I just, what is
Mhm.
Lazaro gonna do? This guy is nuts. And that scene was was nuts, man. I mean, maybe that's why we got moved to the later time, because who knows? That scene was crazy. I was not ready
Yeah.
for that.
For me as well, that scene really stood out. I was shocked that they chose that as the mannequin challenge scene of the episode.
Mm,
Um, because like you said a moment ago, Tim, you really get a sense of how like sinister Lazaro is. Like given that
Mm,
scene in particular, like let's really think about it. He didn't have to like control them all to tell them all. He gave them all a weapon and told them to kill each other. Like he could have done it in a very like humane, like recuse yourself from being an admiral, or
mm-hmm,
I'm taking over. He could have done any of these other options that were far less brutal, but he chose to do it that way. And then he stood there and watched them do it. Like
mm-hmm,
to me, I'm like, yo, this man is a new level of crazy. Because again, there are so many other outlets for him to get to the same end, but the means that he chose were completely sinister.
mm-hmm.
I was just gonna add too. It looks like the chat's going off on him as well. There
Yes,
are
they are.
some fans, though. We have Miss Millie Gunn says, "Yay, Lazaro." Barbie Evans says Lazaro's a complete psychopath. But also Millie says Lazaro is awesome. Barbie says great bad guy. ER Grandpa says Lazaro is such fun for a psychopathic narcissist. Yeah, so he's a very formidable bad guy, which is good because he's not boring,
Mm-hmm.
and he has such a directive that he is trying to achieve that he does not care about anybody at all. Like the moment he was trying to get the information on the device, and he tells the one soldier like jump off the balcony, just doesn't care. Like, you're not helping me with this. I don't need you around. Which I
Mm-hmm.
feel he would start losing little foot soldiers if he kills people a little too cavalierly. Like, well, I'm done, and then be like, oh no, nobody's around to do my bidding. Yeah, no, that scene was absolutely brutal, but I did love that that was our uh mannequin challenge. Real quick, Tim, what has been your favorite mannequin challenge that we've seen thus far, or is it in the upcoming episodes?
It's episode 8, guys. Look,
Okay.
I can say this much without it being a spoiler. Episode 8 is our homage to the old movie Clue. So
Yay!
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
if
we heard
yes,
mention of that.
exactly. So if
Yeah.
nobody's ever
Yeah.
seen Clue, 8 is the Clue episode. It's
Okay.
just, and it's, a lot happens in 7, and then so people are gonna be like, we don't have time for this
Mhm.
Clue episode. You understand? But
Yeah.
things are gonna happen, and it'll be a real homage to Clue. And yeah, the mannequin challenge in that one's gonna be awesome. Little Easter egg, Reichel, who got killed in the Last Supper one, is also the same actor that plays Winniebot.
That's it. Okay. So now look, I think it was, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was you or if it was Jem, but they told us we do our special segment that we'll do this episode as well, the Winnie Who, Winnie What, where we spotlight one of the actors
Mhm.
under prosthetics. I think our second episode we chose Robin Scott, who is Admiral Raquel.
Mhm.
And I absolutely loved her. Of all the Winnie Who, Winnie What special segments we've done, she definitely is one of my favorites. And I think it was Jem who said, if you like her so much, look out for her in a future episode. She'll be playing another character, but it'll be very difficult to spot. So I think that was the answer.
It wasn't. So look out for
No.
her because she's gonna play another character, and you won't even get it. But
What?
Easter egg, she might be Winniebot too.
Oh, quick comment from the chat that I want to know. One Doc Stash says Lazaro does not give AF. True. Now, Tim, can you please speak to this? Doc Stash says, I still can't believe Jem and company cut the Isaac shower scene. Blasphemy. Wait, what? What is this possible scene we missed out on?
There was no Isaac shower scene that I was aware of.
Maybe it's in the comment. Doc Stash, you're starting drama. No, that's okay. I was curious. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
You're like, did I miss something? All right. Any other thoughts before we get to our special segment?
No, I'm all good. Got everything off my chest.
All right. So we have our special segment, which is called, James.
It's called Winnie Who, Winnie What. All right. So Winnie Who, Winnie What, we break down some special actors who are often underneath prosthetics or some type of mask to give them some spotlight. This week, we are going to be focusing on someone who has been in a lot of episodes who actually doesn't have a name. He is just known as the Lieutenant on the Thunderer. So he's the guy, I think he's almost like a grayish blue color with the dreads that kind of poke out everywhere. He's always kind of right behind Lazarus, back left from our view. So his name is Vaughn Lucas. He is another, of course, South African actor. You can follow him on Instagram and Twitter at The Real Vaughn L. He is 6'3", so no wonder he was chosen to be a lieutenant and be the bodyguard of Lazaro. Again, from Johannesburg, South Africa. He's a father of 2 boys. He's an actor, a writer, a director, a voice artist, and a shark conservationist. Kind of weird talent. Didn't know he had that. Nonetheless, he's appeared on many shows. The TV series Shadow on Netflix in 2019. Homeland. He was on The Giver in 2014 with Meryl Streep. He is also in a South African soap opera called 7D Land. I'm probably saying that wrong. It's in Afrikaans, so pardon me if I'm butchering that. To kind of bring things full circle, we were talking about fatherhood and today being Mother's Day. It was very difficult to find any information on him, but I thought this was a pretty cool quote that I found in a podcast he did. He was talking about how he wanted to just bestow knowledge to his sons, his 2 boys. He says, I want my boys to understand that a real man needs to be first and foremost respectful of every single human being out there, irrelevant of their point of view, of their sexual orientation. That is something they have to give instantaneously. It's respect. So I thought that was a cool quote, though it was only the one quote I could find. I think it's pretty applicable to the theme of our show here. And we were talking about Tim, you being a dad, and today being Mother's Day. That was a cool thing to throw into the mix. Showing some love for the parents out there, including Mr. Vaughn Lucas.
I really like his character. I've noticed him with Lazaro too, and I'm like, we don't really get much of him, but I'm like,
Yeah.
but I like him. All right,
Yeah, me
so
too.
quick.
I never worked with him, but I noticed him every time too, and I was like, hey,
oh really?
Damn good looking guy as an alien.
Right?
Too. I was like, who's that guy?
All right, gotta give call back because I don't want to put them totally out to dry. Doc Sash says that back to that shower scene, said Jem said there was going to be one. She tweeted about it. And so Barbie Evans says, next season, we deserve it. So, all right, something to look for. Something to look out for. All right, thank you so much, Tim. Is there anything else you'd like to add real quick before we wrap up?
Yeah, just get ready to go aboard the Sunshine Express, guys.
All right.
We will also have a special sunshiny guest next week. It's one of the people that's a main character, so you'll have to tune in for that. I mean, they're all awesome main characters, but tune in for that. We'll be tweeting about who our special guest is. And huge thank you and shout out to our special guest of the week this week, Tim. Thank you so much for joining us and talking with us about this episode and just your character. It's so fun to get behind the scenes stories and your perspective on the show and everything in general.
Yeah, my pleasure. You guys are awesome to talk to, and I love that you actually love and watch the show. It means a lot. You guys are awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, man.
Our pleasure. Yes. Now, Tim, if people don't already follow you online, where can they find you?
I am on Instagram and Twitter, and I am the real Tim Rozon.
Nice. And then I realized, James, we have to give a real quick prediction because we're at our end of time. Do you have anything that you're thinking of for next week's episode?
Getting a new form of transportation. That's what I'm figuring out we're gonna do. I don't know if our goal of meeting Zeppelin is done. I don't know. I think this is gonna be the first prediction. I genuinely don't know because all of the goals that we've set have been accomplished in a sense or fizzled out. So I don't know. So my quick answer is we're going to create a new family, and I don't know who's going to be in the family because there is family drama. So we'll see what happens in the next episode.
Nice. I'm looking forward to seeing our grumpy crew in this happy planet because I feel that could either go really dark or really funny. And I hope it's going to be fun because this episode was a bit heavy in a good way. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how they all react to this new environment, and hopefully we'll bond them all and make it stronger together. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and tuning in. James, where can they find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Terrell James Maple, on Twitter at James Maple Actor, and all over AfterBuzz TV. I do the after show for Vagrant Queen, obviously, for Reno 911, and I am a writer for them as well. So look out for articles weekly from your boy.
Yay! And my name is Carrie Lane. You can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KaridLane. And if you're a fan of anime, we have the Demon Slayer after show coming on later this evening. We're covering episodes 3 and 4. So it's a really fun show. If you haven't watched it, you've got time to catch up. And again, thank you so much to everybody who joined us in the live chat. And if you're watching it later, please comment down below your thoughts on the episode. Give it a thumbs up and share with people. Let people know that there's an after show for Vagrant Queen because we all love this show and we all love talking about it. So let's spread the love. All right. Thanks again, Tim. And thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.